Hello and welcome to a new episode of Mostly Engineering and another part in our Enigma build series. And today I want to start with the wiring process, but before we start with the wiring of the rotor itself, I want to build a little test bed, because the wiring process itself will be quite complex and it's easy to switch up some wires. So we need a device that we can easily check that we have a working connection and it's also the right one. So what I have in mind is a little holder where we can put the rotor in and then connect the wire to one of the pins that will complete the circuit. And by the LED lighting up, it will tell us, yes, we have a working connection. And if the correct LED lights up, we also know that it's a correct connection. And so we can test the whole system quick and easily. There's another benefit of building the testbed itself is that we will gain a valuable knowledge of how to execute the wiring process. So with no further ado, let's get started. So, and here we have our main body of the wire tester, 3D printed, came out really nicely, and the rotor fits in excellent, very nice. Now here we will put in an array of pogo connectors that will then connect to this array of LEDs, and here we can insert the card with the right wiring for each rotor, connect everything to a power source, and then our tester is basically ready. So, and here we have our finished wire tester, came out really nicely, and the rotor would sit in like here, and then we can screw it down, and with this cable we would touch all the pins, and then the rotor would connect these pins here to the pins below, and for rotor 1, for example, the A pin would connect to the E pin on the other side, and then we can see the light going off, telling us that the connection is working and that it's also the right connection. And so we would go to all 26 pins, checking everything, and if we want to check a different rotor, we just take out the card with the wiring and put the card with the other for the other rotor in, and then we have the wiring for that rotor and can test it. And this, I think, will make our job wiring the rotor a lot easier. Now, the second question we wanted to answer is, what do we learn for the wiring process of the rotors? And first of all, this material, this 3D printed resin, when we solder close to it, it basically does nothing. It doesn't get hot, it doesn't melt, it doesn't catch fire, it doesn't get warped. So really nice, and really pleased with this. And probably the biggest lesson is that the wiring process, first, it takes a lot of time, and it also it's really messy because it's really hard to keep track where the cable is coming from and where it's going. So we have to find a way to keep that organized. And what I think I'm going to do is, when we are wiring the rotor, it will look a little bit like this. And from this side, I will put a disc next to it where we have 26 holes so that we can push the wire through it, that the wires are tucked out of the way until we need them. And also this allows us to have the lettering on the outside, so that's much easier to read than inside printed in. And also what we learned is that when a little bit of super glue flows through the lettering, they aren't readable anymore. So we will negate this problem as well. And lastly, what we learned is the order of operations we have to do. So we have to solder first and glue second, because after I soldered all the wires to the pins, the heat running down the pins just loosened the super glue again, and I had to re-glue everything. If you really think about it, not really that surprising, but yeah, that's the order of operation we have to do. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. If you have questions, comments, as always, let them down below, and I try to answer them as quickly and correctly as possible. And all that's left to say now is thanks for watching, and see you at the next time. Bye bye.